it's interesting timing. Definitely, when it comes to the business communication, this pandemic brought up a lot of challenges to a lot of businesses, and we felt that over time, without really knowing how the communication of tomorrow would look like, we did a lot of different applications that we recognize as needed for any type of the business. So in a situation like this, being able to really adjust and adapt to the needs of today, as a service provider, agility is very important. So today, I'll present you a couple of slides about Elastic, just in overall, the business as usual and what we were offering in terms of the service provider, but then really narrow down to the tools of communication, or more now collaboration, that is really needs in last couple of months, and definitely will change the way we operate moving forward. So we, my honor to present you this, and after presentation, do a bit of demo, and then go with the questions at the end if you have any. So I will share the screen and then start with a couple of slides. So first of all, Elastic, so the Elastic is positioned as a IT and telecom provider. So if you think about it, like what exactly Elastic does, it's very hard to explain in one single sentence, just because the services that we provide are typically offered by multiple service providers. So you can have maybe Bell and Rogers for your internet, or your email by Google, or somebody to help you with the IT, either inside the business or somebody outside, a cousin or a neighbor who knows the IT is there to help you out. And then you buy computers online, or get advice from Best Buy. And so what we try to do is to really simplify that whole process for the businesses by introducing all the services that every business would need under sort of a one umbrella. So when you look at the complexity, it doesn't matter how big your business is. Even if you're starting by yourself from your home, or you're established enterprise, you will be facing very similar type of services, because it doesn't matter the size, the challenges are very similar. So you need the website for hosting, you might need some servers to store the data, obviously you need internet connection, you need security for that internet connection. Maybe fax is something that you might not need, depending if you're a real estate agent, you might need a fax, but definitely phone is still and email as the main communication tools. And then when it comes to backup and disaster recovery, a lot of businesses, especially that are starting up, think I can live without backup, and then unfortunately they realize that that was a huge mistake when something happened. Conferencing, very big trend now. Clearly wireless, and being able to walk around and work from different devices, and being able to really access and share the files. So when you think about it, all of them is sort of access through some kind of PC or some kind of a computer or device that you need, from hardware to help with the IT support, being able to handle the applications such as antivirus, and ongoing maintenance. And in some cases you prefer to look at the rental options rather than purchase. So as you can see here, like every box here might actually be a different provider, and that's typically how businesses will operating. What we try to do is to really kind of set back and look at from the point of what are the really three main concerns for every business. So one thing is that it's really a need for businesses to be focused on their business. So what we try to do is to really create that simplicity for companies, individuals, to not think about IT, but focus on what they do the best. and then leave that IT and telecom for us to come up with a customized solution, and then really adjust the way they want to do the business. Rather than you adapting to the tools, we're looking to how we can actually adapt tools to your business and your operation. So it's a little bit of, for one side, advisory role that we do. From the other hand, it's about actually helping implementing and helping supporting. And then there is service as well that you provide on top. If you think about, from the focus of your business, very often people tend to try to fix and do the things by themselves, and which is great. But very often they stuck or go in a different direction and they need advice, and that's where we kind of fit in. On a second message is control your bottom line. It's really all about trying to understand how to minimize the cost or how to optimize that cost according to the budget that everybody will have. So in that regards, we're first getting to the point that we can predict the cost per employee, which is something that's very important, especially for the CFO or financial officers of the company. But all the way to being able to move some of the large purchases, CapEx, capital expenditure, into actually a rental model, so presenting as a model as a service. We see a lot of companies are struggling with the old computer just because they cannot afford purchase of the new computer right now. So we look into how we can turn this into a rental model and then make that easier so you can benefit from more productive tool right away, rather than waiting another year that you get enough revenue to afford better computer. And then in terms of the hiring and special training, especially if you need help, at the end, this is something that very often you don't get like a monthly bill from Bell, but it costs you. It costs you if you engage not only your time, but also outsourcing IT or anybody else to help you with this. So we kind of, by being single provider, able to control that cost. And the third one is really about making a business uninterrupted, from combination of security audits and updates, being best practices, to the backup, even the whole disaster recovery. We try to really address that, recommended methods to keep your business uninterrupted, and that's another value that we kind of deliver. So it's not technical. These are the three very kind of a business concerns and business messages, and how we do this. So we're not reseller. We are actually service provider by running our own technology. This is slide can be busy and mainly for maybe a more technical audience, but on a high level, we wanted to present that we actually, in order to provide that well and have this control rather than depending from other parties involved, we basically deliver connectivity from our data centers. As Bernie mentioned, in Ottawa and Montreal, we end up controlling that connection between the local location where your office is, where your workplace is, to our data center. So we can replace your home internet, but put a security on top of it as a business connection. Provide a connectivity and failover, even if it's a mission critical applications. And inside, we can handle the phones, computers, even cameras. So anything that kind of business would need is backhaul to our data center. So that's where all the practices are, that security is. So it's in a way for us to really be able to be very agile and very fast when it comes to the issues, solving them and figuring out how to improve your communication. So this was, enough on a technical side. Back to, what you as a business would face. You would face different services. So you need internet, maybe you need somebody to help you route in security, phone, fax, email. And when you look at this, these are, you can buy them independently as each service. And then each service itself has sort of a different levels of service. One is just what you get today with the providers. We call it essential. They provide you something, but then you need to figure out how to support, how to outsource, how to monitor. A lot of customers think that when you get service from Bell, that's all done by Bell. No, it's not. When you buy server from Google or from Amazon, they think, well, upgrading and updating is handled by them. No, it's not. So there is a lot of, unfortunately, for people who are not in technology, unawareness of what actually is included in a service and what needs to be done by somebody else. And typically what we see, and we call it essential services, are what other providers are doing. What we are looking is that protect level where you have actually somebody who will do the maintenance, monitoring, security, and most businesses who are looking to outsource, that's the layer that we can provide. And then in addition to this, it's what we call the recover. This is when a problem started, when you have an issue, how to really mitigate that downtime and make sure that the business is up. And this is different across the services. So recover for the internet might be LTE connection and you fail over. For phone might be redirecting to your cell phone instead of your business phone. So without getting too much details, I think it was important to explain that Elastic sort of it's not just a typical service provider. It takes care of several different roles and across several different services. What we kind of look at this is that today, unfortunately, most of the businesses used to buy IT and telecom as buying each part separately. What we're trying to do is to really come up with a solution that fits your needs, almost like how you choose the car, how fast I want to go, how nice it should look, how big it will be, how economical it will be. So you have these different requirements of this technology, but it should be looked as a solution that is fitting your needs, rather than actually you end up buying separately pieces and then trying to put them together and make them work seamlessly. Today, what I would like to put a focus on is the actually some of the tools that are used by almost nowadays everyone in the business. And I will use some of these tools to go through the demo. But out of these services, I will not talk about internet, I will not talk about other, I will focus on what we call communication tools. When you look at traditionally, what businesses were using was email, phone, and fax. And that still remains the type of communication that will not disappear. Well, maybe fax is getting slowly disappearing, but email and phone are certainly still quite active. But what we see is that a lot of communication that was handled by email and phone is now moving into different type of tools. What we see as a modern collaboration tools are now becoming chat, video, and document sharing. So what is interesting is that when you look at today communication, email was not really built to fit the modern way. The phone was not built to fit the modern way. So there was a clearly need, and COVID kind of expedited this whole migration much faster than anything else, especially when it comes to the video portion, as we see. But what is great also is that when you look at a context of use in terms of through the life cycle of collaboration, different tools are fitting a different context. And that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about through the demo and present how they collaborate and how they fit in terms of the context, and more importantly, how they are integrated. Because at the end of the day, what is important on the collaboration tool is not only aspect of sharing with somebody else, but also being able to move from one type of communication to the other seamlessly, without now let's schedule a video call and get at that time in calendar, and now we are in call. What we see is the communication needs to be agile. It needs to be sort of ad hoc. Also, what is critical is to facilitate both sides, internally, or your internal group, and a team or consultants or help or volunteers, whatever the mode of operation is, as well as the facing communication with the customers. And they have a little bit different context, but it's important to understand how usable they are. Again, depends on the level of engagement with the parties involved. If I look at now starting with a chat, I will not go to the email, phone, and fax demo, but jump on the chat. Chat is very involving type of communication that end up taking over a couple of years ago with a company called Slack, and you probably all heard about Slack. It's a type of the chat that it's not like a traditional single chat. This is actually a type of the chat where you define what are called channels. Channels are able to focus conversation on specific topic and specific. So for example, if you look at a private channel, there is a public channel that everybody can see. The private channels are very topic related. And then you have what you call direct messages, which is what we used to having a kind of one-on-one type of chat. And this is what typically, when we have experience with a previous chat application, most of them were sort of one-on-one, not really. Yes, you can invite a few people, but then you really lose the history of that communication. In this type of, we call it e-chat application, you are able to create topics, and topic can be like a department, like a billing topic, or maybe specific, Christmas party and discussion about what we're going to do in the Christmas party, or it can be a project. For example, new voice therapy platform and what needs to be configured. So topics are very much about what you would like to cover and what is the structure that makes sense for your business. When you create what you call the channels, then you can decide what are the members. In this particular case, it's me, myself, and I. So it's a very very selfish chat, but it was made just for the test and demo. When you look at some other projects, for example, Offtopic again has much more members involved that are included in this conversation. So you can decide who you want to invite. Typically, what are the users are actually your own members, but it's very easy to add another member. So if you want to talk to a supplier or customer, you can actually create what you call invite people, and then if you just send them this link or send them email, send the invite by email. Now what I'm going to do, I will actually open another browser in the same window, pretend that this is a second person, at least to show you some of this collaboration between the two people. So left side is one person and one computer, the right side is the different computer. So when you click on the, if you click on the on that link, what will allow you is to sign up process. And that sign up process, actually I already signed up here, so that's why I got in right away. But it will give you the form that will allow you to sign up a new, with a username and password, sign up new account. And once the new accounts sign up, so it's a matter of a minute, they can access the chat system and see only a public channel by default, which is available for everybody who join the organization. But what is great now with this is that and I call it demo as the name of that user. Now what I can do is to create a channel, and this channel can be and I can create a new channel and invite a member who is this demo that I just created. So this can be your customer name or your or member of the customer organization. And once you add, it appears right away on their computer. So any message that they send will actually appear in their communication chat. And now this, what we see here is the web-based interface. There is actually its own, there is a Windows client, so you can actually have it more native rather than in the browser, like what I did here. What you see on the right side is actually a Windows application, but also there is an app, so tablet or iPhone, which means is that this chat is now going wherever you are. If I received any messages, I get notification on my iPhone, including my watch, so I can actually literally just look at the answer, click microphone button, and dictate reply, and it's sent right away to the other person. So we're talking about a very short messages, and not only internal, but also can be including the external members and external team. And the great news with this is that anything that is drag and drop to this document. So for example, if I, for example, drop the, let me find the document, for example, if I say, see this doc, this is the attachment of the document that is provided. On the other computer, I can actually get a quick preview of what is the document about. Same thing is happening with a Word document or video. It actually can show the YouTube video. It can actually show the link to the website. So being able to, in addition to the text, share snippets of different documents for quick review, that's the context that might be satisfying a lot of these use cases where it's a very quick, hey, let's collaborate, here is how it looks like, what do you think, and here is the answer. So the part of what might then happen after I share the specific document is that there is a need for more detailed collaboration about this, which very often I found myself, chatting many times back and forth. It's not as productive. So what we have here is integration with by clicking this button on the top, it actually creates a link. So what you see here is that both sides receive the link, and that link, when you press the link, it will actually open right away. So the problem is that because I'm right now on Zoom, I'm actually not able to, it won't show my camera right now, but it's actually by clicking this right away, I went into the meeting, video conferencing meeting. If I'm not on Zoom, this actually will show my screen, and being able to right now, I'm just waiting for other person to join. As soon as that other side joins, it will, again, I have to, all right. Can you still hear me?
Still hear you, Jovan.
All right, perfect. Okay, thank you. I was afraid if I actually took over microphone or camera from Zoom meeting, but what you see is there actually two different windows. You can see that both sides connected, and there is within this window also quick chat. So now there's error messages because the camera was not available. So let me just clear this up so I can show you. But there are within this application now a few tools like what you used to on a Zoom. You can raise your hand, have a chat. So when you have a chat, that will appear on the other side, right? So you have this a quick chat messages, but you can also share the screen. And when you share the screen, very similar with the Zoom, you select the monitor application and you share it. So this is the evolving from something that is a quick chat and here's a document, what do you think, into actually video conversation that you can now share the screen and talk about it. It's that seamless move from one side to another. Now that being said, the video conferencing is typically you share the screen, but you cannot really alter the screen. And this document that you shared is actually on somebody's computer who open and share the screen. So what is happening is that what if we want to actually collaborate on that document and where the document is saved? This is where we have a third application called eDrive. eDrive is the actually online storage. And so what we have here is the demo server that we put in place, which very similar like a Dropbox. It gives you ability to create a folders, create a documents, but in addition to this, there is a few other type of applications that are built in within that system. What I'm going to start with is the files. The files is a document. It's not just what we use to traditional, Word and Excel. We're talking about a very different type of the documents. That can be PDF. That can be a video that when you click it will open. That can be photos that you can actually see it as a kind of a gallery and even play the slideshow. But also you can, within the documents, you can have types that are not typical. Like for example, this is a diagramming software, something that we often use to reflect either customer network or organizational chart or whatever type of ideas that you would like to share. Also, when it comes to the other type of documents, you can have what we call the open office, which is very similar to Microsoft Office. It has ability to open PowerPoint, Word document, Excel documents. When you click on a document, this one here is PowerPoint presentation. This is some examples of this eDrive application that we customize for the customer. And what you see is the typical like a slides, and you can actually click play here and then have this as a full presentation and share. All of this is not on your computer locally. It can be, because the application eDrive can synchronize the files from the server to your computer. But if you're on the go, I can easily open this type of presentation from my tablet, and others can actually access it if I share this screen. So to show you the sharing, if I look at now the documents, if I say, so I have here, the other user connecting. So let me just go back here to, so here I logged in as one user. You can see by kind of icon is different compared to this one here. So for example, if I click here and say, I want to share this document, what I can do is to share this with, trying to remember how I think it's NC admin. No, it's actually the other way around. I forgot how I actually, NC admin. Okay, it's the other side. Okay, so when I create a share, I can actually either share the link and send that file to customer that can be only view mode, or I can actually permanently share with another member in the team. When I actually create a share, I can say what type of permissions they have. There is maybe expiration day, so that that shared link is only up to a certain point. And I can even set up a password for that share. As soon as I make that share, let me just make sure that it will, if I refresh the screen, it will actually show here that shared folder and said here shared. So I end up sharing to the user called NC-admin, and then this one here will actually appear and see that screen. So now these same documents, sorry, did I share the correct one? No, sorry, JS documents. So if I click here, as you can see, these are the same files now on both sides. If I, for example, take this this document and open, this will open in the Word, Word on one computer. If I click on the same screen, now we're both looking the same document. But what is really interesting is that now both users can see edits. So what we're talking is about, as you are editing on one side, the other person will actually see the edit, and you can see who made the change. And if I go on the other side, here is another. You can see collaborative effort. So from the aspect of working together with the file, rather than actually sharing the screen and then pointing and say, oh, can you change this paragraph? No, can you change that one? We had, sometimes work on the same documents, 2 or 3 of us are working on a different aspect of the file. And then if there is a question and quick dialogue, we're still connecting over the video conferencing, so we can collaborate. And as I mentioned, this is across different type of tools, including PowerPoint or diagram or other type of tools. So as I mentioned, part of this, what is really important is the context of use. We're very limited with the time. If you want to do the work and do the business and just accomplish certain things, and if it takes you so much time, imagine productivity. Imagine if you can clone yourself. Well, in a way, this is in a way cloning yourself by being able to reduce the time that you can spend on all of these things. And there are other tools. Some of them are very specific to the context of use. So for example, with our developers, we use the different tool that allowed real-time coding and development. With our designers, there is another tool that as you design, you can actually see everybody's screen. So clearly, there might be specifics to the type of the business you're operating and type of the role that somebody's operating. And unfortunately, some of the applications are not shareable. Like for example, QuickBooks Online, you cannot see the changes, but 2 people can connect at the same time and make a change of that file. But in some cases, it's not really applicable to have real-time editing as well. But it all depends from the context of use.
Exactly, business.
Yeah. So this is a kind of on a high level what I wanted to show you. This kind of a move from chat to video, and then all the way to sharing the documentation. When you think about today's tools, we see video is Zoom, and chat might be a Slack, and documents might be a Dropbox. So there are definitely tools out there they're providing, and some of them are doing this to the extent of collaboration or plugins that introduce. The challenge is that if you're not in technology, to put all of this together and continue maintaining is the challenge. Microsoft Teams, for example, has also aspect of a lot of these tools being together. But Microsoft Teams, when you look at the organization who decided to get Microsoft Teams, it's not end users who are and employees who are managing this. They have somebody in IT that they refer to for the answers. They have somebody who will put this together. So Microsoft can provide an application and hosting, but certainly not there to help you with the training, to help you answer, to help you with the support. And that's the kind of a gap that ElastiLink is offering by being sort of a one phone call to make. And what we try to do is to come up with a model that it needs to be at the end win-win. We try to automate a lot of things, provide guides, videos for people to learn as much as they can by themselves without asking us for every single thing, because in the day we cannot afford having somebody 20 hours per week helping hand holding, because it's not at the end economical. But we're there to fill the gap, go through consulting, see what you really need, show you some of the training. And Mary often was part of the training when it comes to eDrive, sitting with the client. I think Bernie, you experienced that with you use, I think you use eDrive as well.
Yes.
So part of this is really coming up with a model to fit your business. So that's really what I wanted to present.